Hey everybody, welcome to a Wednesday evening here on the Comic Art Live channel. It's not, I should have started off with good evening, ladies and gentlemen, but it's not a dueling dealers evening. We're doing something a little different tonight. We've got Mike Vosburg in the green room, and we're going to be selling some artwork, lots of his, and Chuck Costas is joining us as well. So you've got two hosts this evening for this show, but it'll be a lot of fun. A lot of times we reserve our artist sales for Saturdays, but I felt like this was a good opportunity to do this on a Wednesday evening. We've done a few of these before, and it's going to be a good time. So you get a little bit of an interview and some opportunities to look at artwork to buy. Now, I noticed that Chuck just dropped out of the green room, but I'm going to bring Mike Vosburg in here while he eats a potato chip live on the air. Almost ate the potato chip live. Hey, Mike. Good to see you.
Well, it's nice of you to sneak up on me, too.
Yeah, I gotta apologize. Remember, I think the last time we emailed, it was it was probably about a year ago. I wanted to try to set up some bringing you on with an interview with Dennis Kitchen, for instance. I had that interview with him.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, no, I'm still. Trust me, it's still there. It's just trying to get everything coordinated around here. But I think that would be a lot of fun. I mean, you and Dennis, did a fair amount of work together, and Dennis has got some good stories, and you've always got good stories.
Yeah. So not really any good ones about Dennis, but
Oh,
he worked through the mail so much that it's like we didn't really get together. I think I met him once or twice, but it's someone I really appreciated. He gave me a chance to work out in front of people when I was first starting.
Yeah. How long did you get to work with him?
I don't think we did more than 4 or 5 stories together.
Well, that's too bad.
And I did a little commercial job with him too. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
For Alice Chalmers Tractors.
Interesting. So Chuck Costas is here now. I introduced you earlier, Chuck, and then you weren't there. So
hey, I like to make my own kind of appearance.
Fashionably late is what that is, I think, in social circles.
Chuck got to finish his chips before they came on. I did.
Chips. Yeah.
Yeah, I brought Mike in right mid biting down on a chip.
These are the snacks they're leaving.
Thank you, Mike.
So yeah, it's been a couple years since we did one of these shows, Mike. I think.
I know. I couldn't believe it. I look back; it's been 2 years since we did the last show. It seems like yesterday.
How is that even possible? Right. I mean, it seems like it might have been a year, maybe a little over, but the idea that it was 2 years ago is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time's flying here.
Time's fly. This is, I guess, our third one that we've done together. So the last one was focused on, I think it was a little Lori Lovecraft, because Mike had his Lori Lovecraft graphic novel that you were releasing at the time. So we put a focus on that. This one's a little different because this is really sort of Mike's, I guess, career in sort of the big companies, Marvel, DC, Valiant, and then also some independent projects. So I know Mike had called me over to his studio there and said, "Hey, Chuck, I've got some artwork for you to take a look at," and it was a large stack of stuff, and this is an opportunity that we're getting to pass it along to those out there. I sort of took a look at it and said, there's some nice sets of things where there's not necessarily complete books, but there's nice runs within that that I thought collectors would like. And I know Mike usually goes to conventions, and dealers usually kind of swoop in, buy up all his pages. We thought this was a great opportunity to let the collectors out there really have first crack at this stuff, because I know it's been in Mike's files for many, many years. I can't believe I met Mike, I think 25 years ago, Mike. Can you believe it? I think that's when I first started coming out. It was around 2000.
Wow, I was 39 then.
Yeah. And you're still in the same studio there. But I remember going over to Mike's house for the first time and him showing me stacks of She-Hulk pages and Sisterhood of Steel and Valiant pages and some of the stuff that we're selling today. And so some of it's still been there in the stacks for 25 years. And now we're finally digging them out and letting collectors have a shot at them.
What I remember about that is that if you're going to work in art, it's a roller coaster. It goes up and down and up and down. And about the time you were dropping over, it was a real kind of low. Things, animation was slow, advertising was slow. And you came over and wanted to buy a bunch of crypt covers or something. I'm going like, oh my God, I'm going to have a Christmas.
That's right.
Well, it's good that it worked out that way. I mean, I was looking through the scans that I got from Chuck, and there's a lot of diversity in materials that we have here today. Like you were saying, Chuck, it's from Star Reach to Valiant titles, and I hate to say some of it I haven't read before, but it's cool again to look at art from that era, and it just shows how long a career you have had, Mike, in the business.
Oh, I'm well aware of it.
I was waiting for Chuck to say you haven't aged a day in 25 years that he's known you, but I think he held that back.
You know, when I first met Mike, and I think he still plays a little bit of basketball. He keeps himself young by playing basketball and at least watching it on television. I think he does probably more of that these days than play out back. But
and Mike baskets. I don't play anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and Mike lives in the hills out there. We both live here in California now. When I first met Mike, I lived in the East Coast in DC, and I'd fly out here, and it was always kind of my treat to go visit Mike on my LA trips, and of course look through his art piles, which you guys will get a chance to do a little bit of today. But yeah, and so Mike's always kind of lived out there in the hills, and we've taken walks together, and he's been a healthy influence on me. Although those chips that he was just trying to give me were probably not the healthiest thing he could have given me. But. Anyway,
honest to God, they're kale chips.
It's so California of you, Mike. It's so California.
My wife eats those, and you couldn't force them down me.
So I see Anthony's in the chat. Yes, I looked through the scans. We ended up having about 90 plus scans because a lot of these lots tonight have multiple pieces in them. Some of them have over 10 pieces in them. And I'm actually not going to do a traditional way of showing the slides like I normally would on a art sale show where we're showing one piece at a time to sell, just because some lots I might have 6 or 7 images to show for them. Well, you'll see. It's going to be a little creative, and hopefully I can manage it without looking like a fool while I'm doing it. But I think we can make it work. The only thing I'd say, Chuck, is a lot of times when I'm going and doing it this way, I won't be able to see the chat. So if someone claims something, you get to be.
I'll be your eyes tonight, Bill. I'll be your eyes tonight. And the other thing I will say about Mike's artwork, for those that have ever sort of experienced or seen his original art pages, about like every 1 in 5 has like an extra bonus sketch on the back. And Mike, I mean, were you short on paper? I mean, what was going on? I mean,
I had sketchbooks then. No, actually, you know where I got that from? When I was working, I used to see John Buscema.
Yeah.
And the back of John Buscema's pages were all these, where he'd warm up in the morning, and I'd go like, wow, and the other thing was, I realized very quickly that if you drew on the backs of the pages, your editors were going to see it. So, I mean, while I was drawing Marvel comics on the one side, it was like, you turn the pages over and go like, hey, this is what I can really do. This is, and so, I mean, it was kind of an added little portfolio thing for them.
So I can't guarantee that you're going to get a bonus sketch on the back of every page or even every lot that you buy here, but there are some hidden surprises. And if we actually have time, I'll try to dig some of the pages out and potentially show some of those along the way.
If there aren't drawings on the back, it's Steve Rude's fault, because Steve Rude showed me how to put all that stuff in a regular bound sketchbook. So on the backs of the pages, I started drawing it in the sketchbooks.
Blame it on Steve Rude. I've never heard that one before. Wayne in the chat wanted to know if anything that sells today could be picked up at OAX in January. I'm fine with that, Wayne. The art is right now with Chuck. What we're going to do is after the sale, everything that's sold is going to get shipped to me, and I'll be the one handling the fulfillment. So only the pieces that are sold will come over here to me, but I'm happy to hold on to them and not charge you shipping and hand deliver them at the end of January. So anybody who's going to OAX, you want to save $30, that's one way to do it.
And Wayne, your name I recognize, so thank you for joining us again tonight.
Wayne is a patron of the arts, as are many of the folks in the chat. But Wayne's been in our chat since we started doing these live stream sales, and we definitely appreciate him. And typically, I white glove deliver the art to Wayne, whether it's I've done it at MegaCon, I've done it. Was another show, Heroes. I think I've given him art. So he's north of the border, so it definitely saves money for him.
Yeah.
and there's that whole postal strike going on in Canada right now. I don't think I'd risk shipping any artwork up there.
Well, the other thing too is having lost a couple packages over the years to the postal service, which is like, we didn't lose it, we just don't know where it is. It's so much easier if you can deliver it hand to someone. That's much better.
Yeah, I just had a check that I had to give an art dealer here in Los Angeles, and I just figured, okay, I'll throw it in the mail, put a stamp on it. 2 weeks later, that still had not shown up. So I'm not quite sure what the state the postal service is in these days, but it's kind of like 1 in 5, maybe your letter actually shows up. I actually think they told my wife, if you don't pay for tracking, it's your fault. So,
you can pay for tracking, but it just tell you like we don't know where it is either.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been shipping a lot of art lately, and we've run into that. About 5% of the time, a package will sit in the same location for over a week. It'll get to the Orlando processing facility or the Houston processing facility, and then never moves. And that's always when you get nervous, because you think it's sitting on a shelf somewhere and nobody can find it. So, but I haven't, but at least so far, they've all eventually made it to where they're supposed to go. Sometimes takes 2 weeks, but yeah, it's just part of the job at the end of the day. Hey, Mike, Tony had a question for you. They said your work as a slight Gray Morrow influence. Were you guys ever studio mates?
No, actually, I knew of Gray because he worked with Neil Adams. So I mean, it was like one of those guys that I knew when I'd go into the city. You'd see Gray, who always looked very dapper, and I always really admired his drawing skills. But like myself, his work was pretty quiet. I had a funny thing happen a few years back. I bought some Robert Fawcett drawings from a guy, and he said, "Yeah, my uncle bought this old desk, this piece of furniture, and got it home, and he opened it up, and there's a drawer full of all these Robert Fawcett and all these different characters." And I bought a couple of them, and then I discovered the desk had belonged to Gray Morrow, and that's where the Robert Fawcett stuff came from. Wow. I wish Gray had left more of his stuff in there too, but
well, I mean, it shows you guys had the same influences, Mike. I mean, it's sort of.
No, we did. I mean, it was. If you look at Gray's work, he was very, very much a draftsman, and I mean, we both admired Fawcett because he was subtle. It was ruined my career in comics, but I mean, he wasn't Jack Kirby with everything running off the page. It was like I said, they were these beautiful drawn, beautifully designed pages with a real sensitivity to them, and I can see where he was like a big fan of Fawcett's work. So.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Bill, I saw a couple questions earlier. I think one from Marcus. Can you get a random sketch or something like that? For anybody that buys one, I will be happy to draw a random sketch on the back of any of the pages if you feel like you're missing out. So I do great stick figures, maybe figures with glasses on.
And I would do that for Marcus as well. I've got plenty of Post-it notes I can scribble something out on.
If you buy a sketch and they do the rough sketch, I'll be glad to ink it in so you can actually recognize it.
Come on, Mike. What are you trying to say? You've never seen my drawing. I've never actually shown you any of my drawing.
I know. I've got one of your paintings around here someplace you gave me.
Oh, I probably did give you some, but now it's been a while. The second one was, can you pick it up at Prop Store? I'd be also happy if you're here in Los Angeles and you want to pick it up locally. Just let Bill know or let one of us know, and I will just hold that back for you and then hand deliver it and let Bill know when it is delivered. So we'll work both coasts here and we'll get this done. So.
Exactly. I can do this. So I'm reading through the chat, but we do have 36 lots today.
Yeah, a lot to get through. So
a lot to look at here. So I figure we might as well just dive right into it. And
it's a little bit in sort of walking down memory lane from some of Mike's earliest works, going through Marvel, going through DC, going through Valiant, up to some of his more, I guess, recent independent work that he's done as well. So if you guys have a favorite, it's kind of going in that order and sort of play along with us that way.
Yeah, I didn't write Well, you didn't write yours down in there, and I didn't think to like kind of pull them out and see chronologically where things fell. But
it's
but
rough order. Yeah. I
yeah.
went through the Marvel years. It ends. Mike, and we'll get to it. Mike actually did some recent covers for Marvel. We're going to sort of go all the way to present day in the Marvel section, but we'll sort of, like I said, we'll jump around a little bit. But I guess let's get started back in the early independent days of Mike's career.
All right. Well, let me give one tip for everybody. Click that live button down in the lower left-hand corner if you're on YouTube. That'll get you as live as everybody else in the chat, and gives you the best chance to claim something if you see it. Every lot's got a number, so just type claim in the lot number in the chat when you want to pick something up. And like I said, after the show, if you've claimed anything, you're going to email me, bill@comicartfans.com, with just let me know what lots you picked up. Include your mailing address when you do that too. That helps us kind of get everything together right from the start. I'll know how to invoice you for shipping and all that, and I'll remind you of all of this probably periodically throughout the night. So now we can go down memory lane.
And I'm as live as I'm going to get, so don't hope for too much.
Well, Mike, you did work on Tales from the Crypt, so I mean, how live can you be?
Well, I don't think he posed for the Crypt Keeper or anything like that. But
people ask me that though.
Oh, they do. I'm sorry. All right. Well, just so everybody can see, we're doing the slides a little different. I'm just showing the a static lot number and the description for what we're selling with the price on it. I've got a shared screen over here, so we can actually zoom into some of the pieces, and it'll make it really easy for me to hop between the number of scans that we've got for some of these lots to make it real easy for me to show and zoom into stuff when people want. And of course, Chuck's got a lot of the art in hand too, so he'll be able to fill you in and show some of the pieces if you needed to see them too.
Yeah, I can do that.
So we're starting out with some Star Reach, right?
So, Mike, was this your second issue of Star Reach that we started with, Star Reach 4?
I think it might have been, and it was a story that it was the 70s, and it was a funny story with about racism, and in the 90s, and like in our contemporary days, it's just not funny anymore. So it's like
this is kind of a banned story. This start the white slavers of Scrofula.
Yeah.
And so that's the first page that we see here, which is from that story there. And you can, I think, if you go to the bottom of the page, you can kind of start seeing why it is probably not as well received in today's world. It has some stereotypical alien-looking people there.
It's when I did the Lori Lovecraft omnibus. I didn't put the story in it because, again, it's just like I said, things that 30 years ago, 40 years ago were amusing. Now they're just like, no, it's not funny. So
and then what do you this was a second story, the Nympho.
No, actually, it was about the 5th or the 6th. It was actually the last Lori Lovecraft story I did, and it kind of explained where Lori's start and her her connection with all this, and I also was trying a much more. I was looking at a lot of Mobius and the French cartoonists at the time. So I was trying to do something a little more spontaneous in the drawing, and the inking style is a little more stylized than what I was doing before.
So, Bill, I see a question there about will the art be signed by Mike when purchased? Well, some of the pages, as you can see, like the first one there, is signed at the bottom by Mike. I would say the majority of the pages aren't currently signed. My thought was I was gonna send them as is over to Bill, because just if we want to get them out quickly, I'm unfortunately leaving on Monday, so I want to make sure I get a package over to him. So some are signed, some are not signed, and you should be able to sort of see that in the pictures that we have there.
And if you ever want to get them signed, feel free to come visit me in my studio, or you can send them to me and I'll send them back to you.
There's free chips, I hear, Mike. I hear there's free chips.
Well, those chips aren't free, but they will be available for a small price.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the next slots. I think we've got a couple slides for this one.
Yeah. So those are early Linda Lovecraft, and this is still continuing with the early Linda Lovecraft stories. This is Star Reach 5, which is actually where I'm headed next week, which is the Medina in Morocco. So, Mike, a little bit of, I guess, Moroccan influence in this story?
Actually, it was a much more a Casablanca influence.
Well, Casablanca is in Morocco.
I loved, I loved the Casablanca movie, so I thought it'd be great to, use Claude, Claude Rains as a character, and actually the character from the one of the second Lori Lovecraft story, or I'm saying Linda Lovecraft story, who was going to be kind of her arch enemy through the stories. And again, Mary Screenis wrote the script for this, which is great. And of course, it's got stuff that's politically incorrect. But my own opinion of art is, if it doesn't offend somebody, it's not doing its job. So it was great fun to do. I managed to sneak in Fred Astaire in a scene,
and so, yeah, so first page there is signed. This is 4 pages out of the 10-page story, I believe, or maybe it's 11-page story, but the majority of, I guess, the pages, and the amazing that you've kept them together for so long. And these were reprinted in the Lori Lovecraft book that we talked about a couple of years ago, right, Mike?
Right.
Yeah. So these are the early days of Lori Lovecraft, aka Linda Lovecraft. And again, me sort of going to Morocco, I felt connected to these pages myself. And I know it's a lot of 4 pages. So this is the biggest lot of the early stuff that we had from Mike's that was still sort of together. So I wanted to sort of group all this together. If somebody wanted to pick up all 4 pages, they can do it all at once.
And as I've explained many times, when I reincarnated Lori, I got rid of the Linda Lovecraft, because I don't know how many people would come up to me over the years and go like, "Oh, you do those Linda Lovelace comics?" And I'm going, no,
Different strip.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this one's still available. We can take a look at lot 3. That's a pair of pages there, and I just have to change this slide.
So this is the Skywalker story. So, Mike, I don't know, you can tell the real story behind it, but what I actually found very interesting. So these are 2 pages from the Skywalker story. The Skywalker story came out in 1976, which, if you think about Skywalker and what was going on in 1976, the story about Star Wars is that, the original name for Luke Skywalker was not Skywalker. And Mike gave me a little bit of insight as we were talking about this, which is obviously Chaykin was the person that did the original Star Wars poster, the pre-poster for San Diego, and was working with George Lucas at that time. So he was obviously reading what was going on in Star Reach. And I wondered, and I said to Mike, I was like, Mike, the fact that you did this story about Skywalker, it happened to come out in 76, around the time he changed the name of Luke Skywalker to Skywalker. Did this story inspire Luke Skywalker, or is it just a coincidence that it came out a year before Star Wars came out?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's definitely what was the strip that Chaykin was doing? A Cody Starbuck.
Mm-hmm.
In the Lori Lovecraft and the Cody Starbuck were in the same Star Reach stuff, and I know that George Lucas was a big fan of that particular comic, because when they did the Star Reach comics, he immediately reached out and said, "Make sure you get Chaykin to do stuff for it." So obviously he was reading the stuff, and in terms of him using the the Skywalker name, I can only be flattered, because I stole it from Buffy St. Marie, who actually did one of her great songs was called Starwalker, which I changed to Skywalker. And of course, Buffy St. Marie was the inspiration for the Peyote St. Jean character.
Which is in this story, correct?
Right. She's the Indian shaman, and the two other characters. Back at the time, there was a lot of Carlos Castanedas was the big, the popular occult, Indian, kind of stuff. So those were the two characters who were in there. They were kind of the Indian guides. It's a great story to do. Steve Englehart, supplied the dialogue and stuff for it. And I think it might have been the most popular story I did in Star Reach. I think it got reprinted a couple times there. It's funny because a lot of the like the location of the old shack in the Ozarks was based. My friend Ron Foss, who was like one of the real guys into comic fandom at the time. It was all kind of based on the location of his where he was living at the time.
And Mike, was this for those that keep track of first appearances? Was this the first appearance of Peyote St. John in this story?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think we did two others. One was kind of a Joni Mitchell pastiche, and I think there was one other one in there too. But
all right, I thought the Skywalker story. I thought, again, piece of history here. But speaking of the Joni Mitchell story, I believe this is the one you're referring to, and there she is down at the bottom there.
And the third one I think was actually something called "Songs to Aging Children Come," which is another Joni Mitchell song, and it was all about hippies going back to the garden. I think it was one of the first Star Reach stories that had like people actually smoking dope in it.
And so Imagine, which is this is from issues 2 and issues 3. That is it was a sort of an offshoot of Star Reach. And Mike, I mean, how was it working with Star Reach? Because that was that really sort of the first quote unquote big company, I guess, that you were working for? Because I know you had worked, you'd sort of worked in the fanzine world for a number of years. With Star Reach,
I worked for Marvel for probably a year or so, and after I started working for Marvel, I got connected with Mike Friedrich, who was just starting the material out then, and for me, the Star Reach material was great because I wasn't trying to draw Marvel comics. I got to be myself, for better or for worse. So these stories were great because I got to, pencil them, ink them, and write them myself a lot of times, or at least plot them. Like I said, I look back at this stuff. I have a great affinity for it in terms of like, I mean, people hand me Marvel pages, and I'm like, yeah, I remember doing that, but there wasn't anything special about them for me. Whereas these stories were really a labor of love.
Yeah, this one's interesting compared to the other ones where you see that you're moving into sort of your wash, a different sort of style that you're doing for that.
Well, that was the other thing too with these. I was starting to use marker on them, which was what you could do with reproduction in Mike's book.
Yeah, there were a lot of zipatone on the first 3 lots. You don't see that here.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that's the last of the Star Reach era, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And
now we've got let's see.
This was a little bit of an oddball, which was your Gold Key.
This was one of the very first jobs I had in comics. When I started working in comics, you take your work around to Marvel and DC, and they're looking at them and go, well, okay. And so I thought, okay, well, somebody gave me a name at Gold Key. I went to Gold Key, and I met the editor, who's a man named Paul Kuhn, and he didn't know very much about comics because he looked at my work and he said, well, I don't know very much about comics, but you seem like a nice young man, so I'm going to give you a couple stories to do. So, they were, I think we got a whopping $20 a page for penciling them in those days. But for me, I was like ecstatic. It was like, all right, I've got actual work. And they were for, what does that look like? Boris Karloff is one. I might have did one for Twilight Zone. I don't know. I think this one, Dan Green might have inked. I think another one Mike Pepe did. And it was what I found interesting was I would come into Gold Key and I'd bring them my pages and they'd go, well, this is good, but the heads are way too small. They look like pinheads. And then I'd go into Marvel and I'd show them kind of the same pages and they go, well, this stuff is good, but the heads, you really got to draw them a lot smaller. You got to direct the characters so they look bigger. So you're really, it was a realism against a dynamic approach.
And which did you prefer?
As I got older, definitely the realistic one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are people who get away with that and make it look real. I mean, Bob McGinnis to me is the ultimate example of like, taking these women and making them 7 feet tall and they look like, they could walk into the room. And there's a sense of realism there. But I think for the most part, they, as I look at comic books, and they just look like these big characters with small heads. So,
yeah. I mean, here you've got 5 pages for $250. So these are $50 a page for those that are sort of keeping track of it. And I think some good solid art. I was always a big fan of the old Marvel pre-hero stories, and these Gold Key stories remind me a bit of those. So it was interesting as I looked through the stacks because I don't think I had realized that Mike had worked at Gold Key at any point in time. So it was
my very first jobs in comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year was this, Mike, you think?
Must have been 75, 76 maybe.
And when did you break into Marvel?
Within months.
Yeah.
I mean, all this stuff, it was like, I might even had a story in Marvel by the time. I mean, you'd come into town and you'd get like, you'd go see these different companies. And I think at Marvel, they gave me a couple, I think there were Vampire Tales or something like, okay, basically they're inventory stories. But it was kind of like, we're looking for people. So you try this, see what you give us. And if we like it, we'll give you more work. Mm-hmm. So, it's like I did work there. And I think probably about the same time I started doing a few jobs for Charlton too. I mean, the underground stuff came first. Then I started working for, like I said, for the traditional companies, Marvel, DC, Gold Key. And then the Gold Key stuff came after that. I'm sorry, the Star Reach stuff came after that.
So I guess I should have started here, Mike. I should have started here, but all right. Well,
it's important.
This is a different one here. So this was the I guess I was surprised that you had this cover still. And I'll note for people before you sign up for it, the figure of Isis down there is actually on an overlay, and I'll actually dig that one out to make sure that people can see what that would look like. So here I have it, and the Isis figure is actually on a black overlay with the other art drawn on the back of this. So. Get freaked out when I go reversible. So, yeah. So that's what it looks like without. And then there is a, just for those that care too, there is a sort of a stat of the lettering that goes on top of, next to the Beware here, the Wrath of Set. So that was a reverse on there. But it is the published cover for issue 3 of Isis. One of the rare covers that Mike still had in his collection. Alongside that, there is another page as well from Isis number 7. sort of a semi-splash that we've got here too. And Mike, what can you tell us about your ISIS days?
Like I said, I think Frank McLaughlin inked that page. ISIS was interesting just because I was starting to work at DC and they wanted to keep me busy. So I was doing 2 strips. I was doing Starfire and ISIS. And I think Vinny inked the first 2 or 3. ISIS. I think the first one was actually done by Dick Giordano and Vinny. And then I think a couple of, I know Al Milgram inked one, Frank McLaughlin inked one. I'm not sure who else did them at that point, but the funny ISIS story is a few years back, someone had me do a drawing of ISIS, and they paid me in PayPal, and they went, ISIS drawing. PayPal wouldn't cash the check. They wanted to make sure that the funds weren't actually going to ISIS. I'm going,
I would think if it was going to that ISIS.
It's not just, a terrorist organization. So,
Exactly.
Eventually, they found a way to me, but I don't think.
So,
I see the question about is the ISIS cover a stat or not. The artwork that I showed behind is all 100% original on board. The portion that has ISIS on it was copied onto this overlay. So that is a copy of ISIS on the overlay. It doesn't appear to be hand inked. So that was it. It looks like it was probably a separate piece of art at some point that was put onto the overlay. Which is
the problem. The thing is the art in the background was going to be shot as a color hold, so it was done on a separate piece of paper.
Yeah. So this everything I'm showing right now is 100. That's original. Is the background with the snake or the Egyptian sort of god snake.
Yeah.
And then the ISIS portion of that in the front is the copy that was there for production.
Right. It's no ink. No ink is on the photostat.
Yes.
Right.
Now, what's also interesting on the back of the ISIS 7 page is Mike's original pencils. Like he had actually laid out the page differently, and then decided, that he ended up scrapping this version of it and then drawing on the other side of it. So it's interesting to see sort of Mike's original pencils for this on the back side of this. So you get full pencils, and then you get sort of the final image over here.
And then when you look at my pencils, you really appreciate my anchors.
Oh, come on, Mike.
And they appreciated all the tips you gave them, Mike.
I tell people this all the time, and it's true. It's like when I started drawing in comics, I had absolutely no art training. I mean, I knew how to copy people, but I had never had even a basic drawing class. And I remember getting my first job in comics and going like, boy, I really got to learn how to draw. The good news was that virtually every artist I worked with after that became a teacher of sorts. They all had something to show me. And I had some incredible teachers along the way. I mean, with Kubert and Joe Dordano and Dick Giordano and I mean, just there was no shortage of talent to go to and learn from in those days.
That is true. A lot of those guys taught one way or another. I mean, you guys had bullpens at studios to work in, so it was a good place to start in the business.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the next one, but so we have no idea where the original ISIS art is at. I would imagine.
It wasn't in Mike's stack of stuff that he showed me there, so it probably was on a.
No, there was very little that ISIS art. I mean, for one thing, it was a Saturday morning show for girls.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't the kind of thing that fans were dying to get. And I remember Joe Orlando was giving me was chiding me, going like, Mike, I don't think you're taking this work too seriously. And I'm going, Joe, I just finished doing a story called The Ominous Ooze. How serious can I take it?
Mm-hmm.
So
I get it. those titles are weird, but you persevered, Mike, and with your sanity in check, and your humor intact. So next up, we have 5 pages from Starfire number 2. There's 5, number 6, and a couple from page 7 in here. So 5 pages in total, and so here's 3 of them here. Yeah, I should have looked up the publication dates on these. That would have been fun.
These were
1977 is the back, is what's written on the back.
What's that?
1977 for those publication date for Starfire.
And if you look at this stuff, you can see how heavily influenced I was by Victor de la Fuente, Carlos Jimenez, and the aforementioned Bob McGinnis for the female characters.
Well, the shadow figure was definitely Kubert right there. That was from Brave and the Bold 37.
That's another funny story because when I turned into pages, I inked the shadow figure myself, which of course Vinny saw and was like, Mike, don't do that anymore. I'll let it go this one time, but I just don't be inking pages like stuff like that on the pages. So.
Bill, I will show this here, which is one of the sketches that I talked about on the back of the page here. So you get this lovely bonus drawing on the back of this Starfire 7 page. But I always love to see like what Mike had done on the back of that. Mike, does this bring back any memories?
I'm sure you could go through some issue of Playboy and find out who the model was, because that was basically my reference, stuff at the time.
Yeah,
Sasson.
But more than anything it was me practicing inking, and showing editors this is what I can do if I ink.
Mm-hmm. After they were telling you not to ink anything.
Well, no, on the front of the pages. I can ink what I want on the back, just on the front of the pages.
Well, yeah, Jason, that's not true. All right, so we got 5 pages from Starfire. Let's see here. Where are we going to go on the next one here? This is to lot 8, and I think, we got 4 pages with this one.
So there's just 2 different stories from Justice League Quarterly. One from number 7, which is a Rocket Red story, and then 2 pages from issue 14, which is a Crimson Fox story called Scent of Fear. Mike, do you want to talk about the Justice League Quarterly work, or what do you remember of that?
It didn't stick in my mind too much. I mean, I guess one of the things that stuck with me was that the Rocket Red. At the same time, I think I was working with Chaykin doing the American flag stories that were kind of set in Russia too, and I'm thinking like just how much more resonance and life those stories, had than the Rocket Red. What was it? Crimson Fox? Is that who that is?
Yeah, the woman.
What I remember for that is that Robert Redford modeled for me.
He came over to get some chips.
He's a nice enough guy. Yeah.
He has some great salad dressing.
As a villain of the piece.
And on the back you get this wonderful sketch of Mike's. Mike, probably not your best sort of detailed work here. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but that looks about what Bill and I can do there. So I'm not sure what you're doing.
Oh, but that's a map. He'll take you to places the other drawings won't.
Yeah.
I saw Antoine said that your layouts seem very Chaykin influenced in some way because Howard loves his loves to play around with camera angles and break the borders a lot. I mean, would you say you guys work together on these kind of concepts on panel layout? Because I know Chaykin wrote the book on them.
Well, strangely enough, I think it's more that Howard and I both had the same influences.
Mm-hmm.
We loved, Leonard Starr and Wally Wood and Joe Kubert and guys like that. and also movies. So we were seeing things from kind of a different point of view than your typical, like I said, the Jack Kirby Marvel approach.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Chaykin introduced me to, like I said, with the famous illustrators and the Robert Fawcett material. And one of the things you saw with them was what we call the framing shot. In other words, where you have things in the foreground that frame something in the background. For example, in the splash page there, where we see the characters drinking in the foreground, and in the background is the Crimson Fox and whoever she's talking to there. So I mean, all that kind of stuff is you got from looking at the illustrators.
No, that makes perfect sense. Let's see, lot number 9. Keep switching my tabs here, but let me get over to that.
This is the value for money lot. For if you can look at this, this is a complete story of Mike's that he did for Showcase 94, issue 10, the Azreal story. I don't know if you have any of the detailed shots from this lot, but there's some great splash page. Yeah, there we go. So you get this great splash page. I think the splash page on the right recently sold in Heritage for a little over $1,000 by itself. But great sort of layout there. But you get not only sort of the full size, these are 11 by 17 prelims of pencils. You get Mike's thumbnails as well. So you get 5 pages of that. So those that are interested in sort of seeing the evolution of a book, sort of having a complete story for only $250, you can get a number. I don't even know what that breaks down to by page. Was it 23, almost like 10, basically $10 a page, which is kind of crazy. So if somebody doesn't pick this up, you guys are crazy out there. Crazy.
And even better, I use myself as a model in this one. So there's a lot of, my self-portraits of me in here.
The buff guy's in there, Mike? Or, oh, no, the bald-headed guy, sorry.
Yeah, oh sure, Chuck.
So yeah, plenty of prelims and extra work that you for those of you who love process stuff.
Yep.
I think Anthony says, "Okay, I'll take it."
Oh, you had to twist his arm. All right, Anthony. Thank you. You've broken the ice, Anthony. How do you like that?
Yep.
Usually you're the one breaking the ice, but tonight he's breaking it in a different way. Thank you, Anthony.
Here's my little kitty decided to join us. 5 more pages. I need cat food, please.
Maybe some kitty litter too.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Anthony. We'll move on to I guess lot number 10.
Now we get into the Marvel world.
So we got a couple Deadly Hands of Kung Fu pages from issue 8 and 9.
Yes, some early Deadly Hands of Kung Fu with the wash style that we saw that was similar to the Star Reach that you had there. So, Mike, what do you remember of working on, I guess, Deadly Hands or the Master of Kung Fu Shang-Chi?
I think Deadly Hands might have been my first regular strip at Marvel. These pages were kind of special just because they were inked by Jack Abel. And I was talking before about people who were good teachers, and Jack worked up a continuity at Neil's studio, and he always had time for you. When you came in, you sit down, he could talk shop, he would tell you about little things like that. Got one of the nicest men you ever could hope to meet. So I was really happy to have him ink this work, because I think it's probably some of the nicest, certainly at the time, one of the best guys inking my work.
Yeah, and they've got shots of Shang-Chi in both of these pages, which I thought was was nice, is what people are sort of looking for there too. And I know from the Zek world, from Mike having worked on that, the other Mike working on that for a number of years. I guess since the movie, these Shang-Chi pages have gone up in price, and a lot of times they will crack over $1,000, and here you get 2 pages with Shang-Chi on it for just $1,000. So thought they were priced nice. If you like one, want to sell the other, You can always put one up in one of the CAF live sessions that's coming up, but figure is a good opportunity to sort of give you sort of the 2 remaining pages that Mike kept from Deadly Heads of Kung Fu.
Yep.
All at
And if
once.
you're lucky, on the back of them, Doug Munch has written some really nasty comments, usually about what I was doing.
Let me see if I can find it, Mike.
Nasty comments, huh? From
Oh yeah, it says these chips are stale. No. There's on the back of this one, it actually looks like you drew some swords. Okay, so you never know what you're going to find on the back of Mike's pages. So like little sword sketches. You can barely see them there, but they're there. These little
very
sword
fake
sketches. And there's something written next to it too, but
who knows?
Somebody's name.
All right, so what's next here? We've got some Sisterhood of Steel pages, and I guess 5. Yeah, 5 from this one, from issue 1.
So the first one, I believe, is the actual top 2 go together. One is the sort of the original pencils, and then the finest published ink. But for those that were fans of Sisterhood of Steel, was one of these projects that Mike did all the issues of. 8 issues, I think, came out. Mike, do you want to talk about your Sisterhood of Steel days?
Sisterhood of Steel was actually something that Mike Friedrich put together. Introduced me to Christy Marks, which changed my life because Christy lived in a little town called Tahunga, California, and I came out to visit and went, I think I could live here. So and when Annie and I decided we moved to California, we came out to Tahunga and said, well, we'll get a place here and then figure out where we want to move to. And we've never found any place we like better. But working with Christy was like a dream. Her stories were always really literate. They read really well. She was very involved in the look of the material itself. And this book was great because I think it probably was the first series for traditional comics that I ever got to pencil and ink myself.
Oh, nice.
All right. Looks like Jimmy got these pages. Congratulations. And you get an extra sketch on the back of this page here, which is page 1 of issue 1. Look at that.
And what year was Sisterhood of Steel?
That had to be in the early 80s. 80. I think it's 85, maybe 84.
Okay. Mid 80s.
Mid 80s, I believe. It was that epic line that Archie Goodwin was doing.
Okay. Well, nice get there. 5 pages, $600. Right? Not too bad.
Those are hard to come by. I know over the years, a lot of people have asked me to get those, and Mike's always said, nope, don't have any more. And then, of course, he happens to dig out some more. So
what I remember was I was moving out to California at the time, so I had this sketchbook which had like, a lot of character sketches, filled with stuff like this. And then as you get further in, I think there's actually a
wow. How much for that?
Yeah. But
that's what I was thinking.
There's a great shot.
Mike, you're not selling that. We're selling other stuff. It's
Oh, I was just thinking because it's a great shot of me driving through the blizzard to move from South Bend, Indiana to here. So
to California.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the development is really a big part of kind of doing the comic book stuff. Everybody sees the finishes, but it's really the development of the work that kind of takes it to that to that next level. I mean, later on there's a Hunt and Peck or whatever it was called. I did with Chaikin, and there's a bunch of sketches of that in here too. So there's me driving through the blizzard. So sketchbooks are great because they're kind of your diary. You can kind of see where the work came from, where it went to, so on.
All right. Well, so here's another, I guess, bargain lot in some ways. You get a number of pages for only $50 a piece. I think it's what, 8 pages?
Yes.
9 pages actually for 400. Now, one of these is a stat page, the one on the bottom far left. It was broken into 2 issues of Six from Sirius, and so they continued the story. So they actually statted panels, as you can see from above, into that stat page. So you really get 8 pages with art, but you get a total of 9 pages here. So, Mike, a little bit. What about the Metro story here? This was a Marvel story.
Metro is fascinating because one of my buddies, because I lived in Battle Creek, was Mike Sains, who lived in Chicago, and Mike was actually the first guy to do a completely digital comic strip back long before they even had Wacom tablets. This was all done with the mouse and was very pixelated. But
you got a fan there, Mike.
What's that?
You got a fan that's screaming your name back there.
Yeah, she's screaming my name. She thinks it's food. So, so Mike was interested in working together with me on a story, and I think, I'm not sure how, I think I might have done the line work, and Mike came in and added a lot of black to it and kind of laid things out. And it was, it was fun working with him. I don't think the story ever went very far in terms of what was this for? One of the Marvel black and white magazines.
Well, I think it was actually Six for Sirius is another one of the Epic line, if I remember correctly.
Okay,
it would have been color, I believe, ultimately.
Yeah.
But.
And I think Mike actually, being a good businessman, discovered that there was a lot more money to be made in developing material, for videos for porn, and moved into that direction. So, and I stayed in comics. What did I know?
And to clarify, this is from Six from Sirius 2, which was the follow-up to Six from Sirius, but it was I believe it was a backup story that was in with the rest of the book. So it's not the main story that was in there, but it was another one where they published it there.
Alrighty.
So good bargain lot, less than $50 a page for 1980s Marvel stuff.
Yeah, well, next up is some Cloak and Dagger, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's some good pages in here.
So 4 pages.
Let's talk about your work with Cloak and Dagger and maybe Terry Austin and others there.
Again, working with Terry was always a dream, because Terry's an artist, so he wrote stories visually. You understood what was supposed to be in each frame. He understood the characters, which made them, much easier for me to work with, because I quite honestly, I was not a comic books fan. I didn't read the material and try and figure out who these characters were and why they were going to work this way or whatever. And Terry, he always had a bit of whimsy in the stories, which is what I really liked. And again, this is like early 90s. I think I probably did this right after Flag. And it was a chance to, work on a book where I got to pencil and ink it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And
the bottom I guess it's an issue 8 page. We have Ecstasy, so that was a character that you created for Marvel, correct?
I'm not sure if I created her, but I certainly had fun drawing her.
One of your favorites. So
yeah.
Oh, Anthony claimed that one.
Anthony,
congratulations, Anthony. Some good pages in there.
Say hi to Anthony for me. Good guy.
The second, just to give, I guess, Anthony some more context too. The second page there, or the last page there, that was the sort of an X-Men takeoff, wasn't it, Mike?
Yes, and if you look at the second panel there, the woman doctor, that's my wife Annie. And the first frame is actually, I based that character on a friend of mine, Zara, whose daughter is now a pop star named M. Byhold. So So yeah, so my models are, are well-known people.
Mike, how come I've never been in one of your stories?
Chuck, you really got to do a little more work on the weights, and I don't know.
Nice.
Well, it's like you never gave me enough photo reference to work with.
Yeah, the chips.
I've got a couple stories coming up. I can work you into them.
All right, that might be nice. But speaking of stories where you did work a few people into the story, oh geez, please, Mr. Harris, bikini not so nice. Swimsuit issues, yeah, we'll save that. Save my cameo for that. But this is a Hellraiser story, and talk about the different cameos of people that you put in here. I found this one of the best, and a little different style, a painted style for you.
Well, two things you want to remember about this was like, it was. The entire story was painted, and I remember that the page rate for doing an entire painted page was $240. I think if I did a black and white, inked and penciled page, I probably would have got $250. And it took me, maybe a day to do black and white page. It took me about 3 days to do a painted one. So it's not a way to make money. But again, the men at top there is my wife, looking much more than it's like I hadn't done the dishes that day or something. And if you go to the page on the far right, there's Chaikin, my friend Zara's over in the far left corner. That's me in the bottom right frame shouting at somebody. So whoever was in the studio that day, you shot reference to them and you used them for, I think Sean McManus in the story is the Hellraiser. So,
yeah, Mike, you're breaking up a little bit for some reason. So we've got Robot Mike going on right now, but
he works better than I do.
Yeah, he doesn't sleep, that Robot Mike.
He doesn't need chips either.
I think he ate too many chips. I think that's what it is. And then no, this is great stuff. I think congratulations on Mr. Lett claiming this.
Yes.
Yeah, it's some good stuff. I mean, this definitely stands out in what Mike's does. There's a painting coming up in just a bit as well that has a lot of the same polish to it. But knowing what Annie looks like and seeing Annie die in this panel here, I feel. I don't think it's an appropriate ending for her, but Mike seemed to get some joy out of it.
I was not the most popular husband in the neighborhood for a while doing this.
Yeah.
I don't know, like she got shot, or like I don't look that bad.
Yeah.
So it's my wife is usually people look at the Lori Lovecraft stories and go, that looks like, is that your wife you use as a model? So she's much happier with that stuff.
I believe Annie also made a lot of cameos or a lot of appearances in She-Hulk as well, and she made actually
because I'm not sure we were dating then, so I usually had her as a villain, but
wasn't until later. All right, well, these are some of my favorites. So Mike, these are newer Marvel pieces that you did. They may not have seen. I don't believe they've actually seen print quite yet. But why don't you talk about the history here and tell us which is the one that Marvel was saying that they were going to print versus the other one? They look very similar.
First of all, these pages kind of epitomize my whole career with Marvel. Is the one at the top, I did a rough and sent it in. Actually, I did 2 or 3 roughs, and they picked this one. And the one rough that they didn't choose was the one that's below. And when they didn't choose it, I was like, oh, that's really silly. That's a much better idea. And so I took it to finish, and I showed it to them, and they still went, no, we think we're going to stick with the original. And I thought, yeah, that's working for Marvel.
Yeah, now they haven't, for the record, neither has seen print yet. So there's still time for Marvel to maybe change their mind as far as what they ultimately do. But I guess it's intended to be a variant cover at some point in the future. For those that watch WandaVision, I thought sort of a nice tie-in to that, and maybe they're waiting for the right time to do that. But here you get both versions, I guess, final inked versions of the cover, plus the prelims that go with it. So if you like to see that sort of evolution into a cover, we get to see that here. And both of them for the price of $1,000. It's very hard to find a printed or a published Marvel cover. Again, this isn't published yet, but you can get in early, and hopefully it will be published in the years to come.
And the term published now.
Oh, and then Bruce Donnelly claimed this one, I believe.
Is because with digital stuff, it's like it's a digital. I don't know if it's ever going to see print, but it's going to be a digital cover. So figure that out.
That's published.
It's an NFT, Mike. It's going to be an NFT.
Yeah.
That word. All right. What are we
and this next one sort of flows on this too. So Mike did have some variant covers that were published. For those that have seen, he had an Amazing Spider-Man cover that was a Black Cat cover, as well as the other one that was published, which was a Venom cover. The other one here, which is a Gwen Stacy cover in the upper left, was one of the other ones. And I did put photocopy. The piece next to it is not the original pencils, but a photocopy of the pencils that do come with it. So you can see what the evolution looks like here. But you get the final inked version. Again, this is intended to be a variant cover in the future. And the piece on the right, which is the Wolverine piece, is actually a prelim for a much older pinup from Marvel Fanfare number 56. In the final version of this, I believe the Ninja was replaced with maybe Sabretooth in the final layout of this. But so this is like, sort of more vintage Marvel pinup where Mike had a whole portfolio of different drawings, including the Punisher and some other characters that he had done. He had sort of a mini portfolio in Marvel Fanfare 56. So you'll see that there. And then again, another upcoming Marvel variant cover for Iron Man that they commissioned him to do. So again, all three of these I guess the two, soon to be hopefully covers, plus the Marvel Fanfare piece for $1,100. A little bit of variety.
Fanfare. What I remember about it was one of the pieces in that portfolio was a picture of Captain America leaning against the Vietnam Wall, and the very somber, end of moment of whatever. And I think that was one of the more popular pieces that I would get a reaction from over the years.
But that is the prelim for the Iron Man piece there. That is the actual hand-drawn prelim that comes with the Iron Man cover. Or as my typo says, Orin Man cover.
We could have done that. I don't know.
So, it could have been either one of us, but I guess Oreos are on my mind or something like that when I typed that up.
All right. So what we got here? We have 10 Bloodshot.
So now moving into your Valiant era. That was quick. Andre claimed lot 17 already here. But maybe, there's a 10 pages here, including some pencil page layouts for, I think it's Bloodshot 21. That's correct. Yeah, it says down there. So, Mike, do you want to start talking about what you remember of Bloodshot? Because this is the only Bloodshot lot that I believe we have here.
Yes, there's a few things. One is up the cover up with the guy with the playing the air guitar. That was my assistant, Paul Hewitt. I remember using him as a model. The one on the bottom one of the girl giving the guy the massage. I think on that page, everything was a Bob McGinnis swipe. So it's like, you can go through the old, the Bob McGinnis things, and I think one is from a James Bond, one is Sherry Height, one is just like I said, I don't think Bob did the building, but the rest of the stuff was worked that way.
Well, we've got some more I think interesting Valiant
We do.
stuff.
We have some more Valiant lots coming up here. This is the only Bloodshot lot that we've got, but we're moving, I believe, on to Archer and Armstrong.
Yep,
Ooh.
just need to get over there. There we one more. There we
One
go.
more.
It sold so quick I didn't have to show the other ones.
Yeah.
So all right, so here we go. Lot 18. Explain this one. It's got 11 pages.
This is 11. This is the big one. This is actually bigger than you even claim. You said there's only 10, but this is 11 pages of Archer and Armstrong, including a cover prelim, which is in the middle of that. So we will show you, we'll fan out the pages a little bit. It's hard to sort of capture everything in one. But this is coming from Archer and Armstrong 17, mostly the pages, 10 pages from that, plus the cover prelim for number 15. And that has been claimed.
Got some Valiant fans out there.
Valiant effort. You gotta beat Andre.
Remember, everybody, hit that live button in the lower left-hand corner, and you could be as quick on the draw as Andre has been. But yeah,
working for Valiant was just, like the first thing was like Bob Layton told me, we're like, okay, I want you to work for us, and I want you to draw the way you draw. I mean, I was so used to coming into comics and them, bringing out the John Byrne or, whoever was, that they're trying to, it's like, okay, we want to make our pages look like this. And so working with Bob was just great with like, draw the way you draw. So, and again, I got to ink everything myself. So had a great time. It was pretty tough following Barry Windsor Smith on this series. But still a lot of fun to do.
Never heard of the guy. No, you can see some influence in some of those pages. It definitely sort of look like a Barry Windsor Smith influence on there.
What's interesting, because I don't think I ever really looked much at Barry's work except what he was doing on Armstrong. I mean, that was such a an iconic character that I went up. This looks so good. I want to continue on with that look.
all right. Well, let's go on to lot 19 now.
Still more Valiant. Yes,
We've got a few of these.
Yeah. So this is another issue of Archer and Armstrong. So we've got issues 19 and 20. We have a total of 9 pages between the two there. Including, I think, Mike, the splash is one of your favorites, if I remember correctly.
I think I might buy this lot myself.
What?
Because
No, you can't.
Wait,
Andre got it.
Damn you, Andre.
I think that's like dinner with Andre right there.
Well, it was like brought back childhood memories, because that's what it felt like when I was doing the dishes. Like when I was a kid, it was like thousands of them stacked up like that. And
Mike,
the character.
I see myself in the back there. Does that kind of look like me?
No, the character right here in the background there, cooking at the stove.
Yeah,
that was Sean McManus. He was the model for that character.
No, it doesn't look like you at all, Chuck. But Andre is quick on the draw. I got his third Archer and Armstrong lot, or is that no? That's the second Archer and Armstrong and one Bloodshot.
Bloodshot.
Yeah, that was another one. And all right, let's see here. We get that was that.
Bikini ladies in this one.
Now here we go to lot 20. This is what is this? This is issue 21, cover prelim, some pages from 21 and 22 as well.
I think you need to change the there we go. Okay.
And I gotta hide that other claim too.
Yeah, hide Andre so he knows what Andre's going to claim next. You get another cover prelim, and then 6 pages from issue. Wait, sorry, you got issues 21 and issues 22. Well, wait, it's not Andre.
Dave Kopecki. Good
Dave
job.
Kopecki.
Dave.
Congratulations, Dave.
Dave had a very active weekend at Comic Car Live, and now he's back at it over here.
Hey, why not?
And there's your cover prelim too. Very nice.
Yeah, I thought it was nice that Mike. You don't usually see these cover prelims. We did the Hannigan sale, and Ed Hannigan obviously had a lot, but you don't see a lot of artists that kept a lot of the cover prelims. And I always like when Mike digs these things out.
Well, you have to understand is at the same time I was working on Tales in the Crypt,
Yeah.
And that was a big part of the job. Was every time they did a story, I wound up doing like somewhere between 3 and 8 prelims for what the cover was going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing you learn about doing this stuff is that there's a life in the prelims that's never going to show up in the finals. So like I said, they were always fun to do.
I like how it's addressed to Kevin Van Hook. I think he, when Valiant used to do tours back in those days, I used to work in Another World in Washington D.C., the comic shop, and I remember Kevin Van Hook was one of the Valiant artists that had come around that time. But I guess was he the editor on Archer and Armstrong?
No, Kevin was the editor on the book there.
Huh.
So he was my editor through all the, I think, Archer and Armstrong and probably Bloodshot too.
Yeah.
It was basically Bob was the in charge of the organization, and Kevin was the managing editor.
Well, little piece of history, right, written on that page.
Yeah.
And you get a little signature.
Also, Kevin is again one of those guys that a really good guy. I mean, when you're working in comics, you had to watch your back a lot, and I never felt like working with Kevin that I had to watch my back.
All right, another Archer and Armstrong lot.
This is all from issue 23 with cover prelim.
That is right. So
now, forget the Mike Vosburg guy. This
Southern Comic Geek claimed it before Dave Capecchi did.
By Stan Drake. And I don't know if you're familiar with Stan, but Stan was one of the all-time greats of comic strip art. Did The Heart of Juliet Jones for years. He and Leonard Starr used to share studio space for a long time. I think Stan was driving, or no, it was Stan's car that Alex Raymond was driving when he got killed. And Stan was a passenger who fortunately survived. But that was a thrill for me to have one of my stories inked by Stan Drake.
Well, now somebody else can thrill at that, Mike, because it's no longer in your collection.
Well,
The Southern Comic Geek has claimed it. And right ahead of Dave Capecchi, just like Chuck said. Thank you both for trying for that one. Congrats.
Andre has really fallen behind. I think that the portfolio has gotten too large. I'm hoping for a comeback here.
All right. Well, here we go. We can switch over to the next one, lot 22. This is also from Archer and Armstrong, 10 pages from issue 25.
Yes. So this was for those that remember, this was the sort of the back-to-back with Eternal Warrior 25.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was the crossover between those two. And Dave Capecchi scores this time.
And again, this job was absolutely a joy to work on. I just because it was
Prince Valiant.
Again, I got to use myself in the story as the villain of the piece. I think I was the Mad Monk.
Yeah, there's quite a deal here with the amount of work that went into these things.
Well, congrats to Dave. That's 2 for you. Let's see here. So we got that.
And I believe there's still more Valiant coming up here.
I believe so too.
Yeah.
It's got to be quick to switch my slides here. All right, there we go. And we hide the comments. And so we've got some Eternal Warrior here.
Yeah, so the flip side of this book, which is the Eternal Warrior 25, we've got 9 pages from that. Oh, and Dave Capecchi gets that one as well.
So you can see, like,
now I don't know if you count this, but Southern Comic Geek says claim lot 2. Well, so does Southern Comic Geek really want claim lot 2, which is the?
Oh, I think Southern Comic Geek wanted to type lot 23.
Yeah,
but it's.
I don't know how you want to treat that one. That's a
Bill Cox call. Typos in the chat. Yeah, I know he meant 23. I know.
Well, lot 2 is still available.
Lot 2 is still available. Well, I mean, I know what he meant and
Okay.
Dave Kopecky is being a gentleman and saying he can have it. Yeah,
Right.
we appreciate always accuracy though. But yeah, this was a great lot. I mean, come on, 9 pages from Eternal Warrior here for the really fair price at $4.50. So Southern Comic Geek, you get this one. You can buy Dave a drink the next. Well, I think you both are going to be at OAX, so maybe you can take care of one another one way or another there. That works out. But thank you, Dave.
They can swap pages from the stories. I don't know.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
There might be some trading going on at OAX, just like last year. All right. So that was lot 23. What is 24? 24 is still some Valiant, isn't it? Okay.
It is. We still have one more Valiant lot, I believe. I think it's the last one.
24, and here we go. Some more Archer and Armstrong for issue 26. 6 pages from that.
And Dave Kopecky gets this one. Congratulations, Dave. Good comeback. And Mike, was this the last issue of Archer and Armstrong you worked on?
Was it 25?
26. 26.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was kind of the the end of the run.
Yeah.
And
was that your last Valiant book that you worked on, or was there?
I think it was. I mean, it was like it was funny. Bob and I had this discussion. It was like, God, Mike, I love your work, but fans aren't crazy about it. I mean, because it's like I had a different approach. I was much more into exposition and kind of the I had no aspirations to be your typical Marvel or DC comic artist. So, when the independent stuff started to come along, that was much more a place where I could go to.
Well, I'm glad we can make some Valiant fans happy out there. I knew those lots would sort of go
I'm
quick.
surprised as much as that sold and as quickly as it did. Thank you,
Mike. There's a lot of love for your Valiant years. I know. And it's good that you kept this stuff all these years.
Well, I tried to keep what I could. I found it really hard to keep the caption blocks.
Yes, those fall off very easily.
All right, now I see, just so everybody knows, I can tell on this one, Chuck, that the way you have them numbered, your image says lot 25, but it's really 26, and 26 is really 25. So I'm going to hop over one thing here. I just want to make sure I get it right, because this is the American flag, 2 pages and a prelim sketch. So this is lot 25. And priced at $5.50. All that's accurate, but yep, I just had to skip an image there. But here we go.
These are. I know you worked with Chaykin on American Flag. He actually did some work on those early pages with you. This is the volume 2, right, Mike?
Yeah. None of this stuff is. I don't think Howard had a hand in this stuff. This is maybe putting on a little bit of the craft in. I'm not sure. But a lot of the stuff you're looking at on this is Richard Ory, because Richard Ory would do all the backgrounds. So like on a page, it's like I made my money on this because Richard did all the all the heavy lifting. Whereas on the next one, he got off easy and I had to draw the characters. So.
Yes, so for those that weren't following along, we have moved from Valiant to First Comics.
As Wings and Hyder pointed out. Yeah, thanks, guys.
And Mike, if I remember correctly, you did, out of Volume 1, you did issues 49 and 50 of American Flag, and then when it went into Volume 2, you did issues 1 through 12.
So what you're looking at on the rough page there, I was going to start doing some of the stuff, so I was just kind of like, this was my sketchbook. I was bringing stuff in. I was drawing the characters and seeing what it'd be like to draw them.
Mm-hmm. What year was this? Do we know?
I think it was 89.
88 or 89, yeah.
88, 89, yeah.
All right. Well, this one's still available. And now next up is a, well, here, I'll just
We go backward. Yeah.
go back one to here and change my slide.
Now, Mac, so this has got that sort of same painted feel of that Hellraiser story. But Mike, why don't you talk about what is this and what did it inspire?
Oh, well, I was actually developing a project at the time called The Hero, the Lady, and the Villain. And Jakin was kind of interested, so we started working on it together. He was like, doing some development, and it eventually wound up in a series that Jakin took it over himself, and it was called, what was it, Power and Glory?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Malibu or Pacific, whoever that was?
Yeah, I just I thought the sort of the level of polish on this one was just amazing.
What's that?
I thought the level of polish you did on this one as a painting was very nice.
Well, I mean, it's got a strong graphic, and again, the same. I was really studying Robert Fawcett's work then, in the way that he would lay down tones and put color over the top, and it worked really well on this. And again, this was development work for what the characters would look like.
Well, Wayne has picked this one up.
Congratulations.
I know I'll be delivering that to Wayne at OAX.
Congratulations, Wayne.
Okay, now, where are we going to? We're going to lot 27, so I got to skip ahead
In my stacks for a while.
So,
First comics, I believe, or this was sort of a Nexus spinoff.
Yeah, it was a Nexus spinoff. It was kind of whoever this was, their rock band or whoever, and it was an annual, and I think Steve Mitchell inked this stuff.
Yeah, and you get one prelim page, 3 finished pages, all for $150, which I thought, and if you're a musician, these are great pages. And I love the fact that you get like a prelim page along with some finished pages, so you can see Mike's work, all sort of through the process.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the title. The art's great. Yeah, where's George Hodge? He usually picks up anything with somebody playing a guitar in it. Well, somebody can text George and let him know that lot 27 from Mez Galactic Tour 2494 is out there with 3 pages, 2 with guitar playing in it.
Yeah, I mean, if you could only hear what they were playing on this page, it'd put you to sleep. But
all right.
Galactic music at its finest.
Andre, you can shoot me an email, bill@comicardfans.com, and just let me know what lots you picked up. Send me your mailing address when you do that, and we'll get everything squared away. Did you use Dizzy Gillespie as a model? Brian Peck wants to know.
I probably did, because I'm sure I was just looking for different reference photos,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a whole stack of jazz musicians, so it might have been, will have been, might
Sure.
well have been. And as someone who wouldn't know who Dizzy, what he looked like, I couldn't say. Definitely wasn't Miles Davis.
Yeah, I think the prelim that he was talking about looked a little like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. There we go. All right, we'll take a look at lot 28 next, and switch the.
This is Mike's Sexy Women. This is Planet Comics. I believe the first 2 images were not. I don't believe they were published pinups, but you get sort of the finished version as well as the prelim that comes with it, and then you get published pages from Planet Comics #1. So pages 5 and page 11, and each of those comes with a prelim. So you get sort of a pin-up-y prelim, but also page layout prelims, which is also
the covers. I was just doing like, okay, if I was doing Planet Comics back in the 50s, this is the kind of cover I would have did. So it was that kind of approach with the stuff.
Yeah, so a lot of sexy women in space. That's what it's all about.
Hey, there's sexy men there too.
Okay,
That's true.
Anthony is playing this one.
Oh, thank you, Anthony.
There you go.
And you get the cats thrown in for free.
Yeah. Oh no, the cats never come for free. They'll be coming to see you later to demand their own deal.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Anthony. You gotta.
Anthony.
All right. Let's see here. Get over to lot 29 and change my
Sherlock Holmes for something completely different. Yeah, Mike, you really enjoyed working on Sherlock Holmes, didn't you?
Well, again, I mentioned Robert Fawcett a number of times, and Robert Fawcett, his kind of masterpieces was he did a series of Sherlock Holmes stories for Saturday Evening Post. Actually, I think he did the first one for Cosmopolitan, and was so popular that they continued the series in Collier's magazine. And one of the interesting things about these pages is you can go through them and find little Fawcett swipes that I had all the way through, in terms of characters or little bits and pieces. Aiken would go through and go, oh yeah, you got this from here, this from here, this from here. But to the uninitiated, it's probably just like, oh, I don't see it. But
No, these are nice. The panel construction's great on these as far as the layouts goes.
this was, when I was a kid, when the comics that I collected, my favorite comics were Classics Illustrated.
Mm-hmm.
So I wound up doing 2 Classics Illustrated for Boys Life. One was the Sherlock Holmes, Hound of the Baskervilles, and then I did Macbeth. We improved on the Shakespearean play because it only took us like 16 pages to do the whole thing. So, and then I also did a little, what was it? Kidnapped for First Comics that eventually wound up being bought by somebody else and printed, with me never being paid for the full amount. So,
so I believe is Anthony claiming that with his Claim Doggy pages, Steve?
I have no idea. Anthony breaks the rules when he's on the air, when he's in the chat. I never know. But yeah, no, these are I like them a lot. They're very good pages. So I love that one. This one over here in particular. Just the layout on there. Just the how you're handling the blacks on this thing with the staircases, the perspective going from this panel. I mean, everything on here is just really, really well done. Anthony's saying he's claimed them. Okay. Hey, all right. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony.
I guess he does have a thing for dogs. We know that. After Sharon, his pet poodle is his favorite thing in the house. Well, okay, his sons. Sharon, his sons, then the dog.
I've gotten that dog.
What is called Hound of the Baskervilles? So
yeah.
On which panel? Juan, you wanted to see that one? Yeah, this here is just amazing. It's really beautiful.
I think I probably was reference for that was probably from the Orson Welles film, The Magnificent Ambersons. I think that might have been the mansion that they lived in.
That's fantastic.
I don't make this stuff out of my head up all the time, so.
Okay, now we are going to, let's see, lot 30 is next, and that is a Tales of Frankenstein.
So moving on to Frankenstein. So this is also another big lot, and it comes with 17 pages of prelims for the entire story, plus I think it's 7 pages of the actual story. And some of those pieces on the right sort of fit into the boxes that you see Frankenstein next to. So a lot of artwork here for $450. And if you're a Frankenstein fan, this is for you.
And I'm sorry I didn't give you a copy of the actual magazine it was in too.
Yeah, I didn't have that, but So as you were taking on Frankenstein, obviously writes and very much affiliated with sort of the character after all these years. What was your inspiration for Frankenstein, Mike?
Oh, Frankenstein for me is always, Boris Karloff. And
No, going back to the movies.
It's yeah. And in this case, this was something Don Glued approached me about because he had did this independent film, and so we were all doing little stories that were parts of the film. And unfortunately, the week that the magazine came out, COVID hit, so all the comic book shops were shut down, and it didn't quite have the.
So you're saying nobody saw this because it came out during the weeks that nobody was buying comics.
Yeah.
Treasure to be discovered, so to speak, in the in the stacks, the 50-cent stacks. But what I actually like at the bottom here is the evolution of Frankenstein over the ages. You've got like Frankenstein during different time periods. So you've got Frankenstein in 1899, 1910. 1948 and Transylvania, 1957.
I can't quite remember what these were for because I'm not sure they were part of the story, but they're kind of.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, with this lot, you get the 17 prelims, 7 published pages to go with it. So 24 pieces in total for $450.
Yeah, lots of art there.
Yep.
So those are the published pages, except for the stuff. There's some insert pages and prelims on the right, but insert panels there.
Also, 30 is still available. 31 is the only Lori Lovecraft that we have.
Yes, it's the only Lori Lovecraft that we've got represented here. So 2 different stories: My Black Pages and Magic. But if you're looking for nice-looking girls, Eldon just claimed it. So. You have to talk to Eldon.
I'm shocked. I'm truly shocked that Eldon would claim those pages.
Eldon, I can't believe it. I think Eldon, if I remember the last sale, Eldon claimed like every other lot.
Just about. Yes, that is so true. Thank you, Eldon.
Eldon is a great guy. And,
And now has 2 more Lori Lovecraft pages for his collection.
Yeah, so true. All right, now where are we going from here? Oh, so okay, let's switch over to here. So change that.
Yeah,
so,
this is a little bit of a miscellaneous with some sort of good girl pinups that he did. Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about exotic or some? Talk about the different things that are here. It's kind of a little bit of a.
All right, I don't know if you're familiar with. There was in the 40s there was a character called the Creeper, Rondo Hutton, and so. I used him as a model, and you're ugly guy and you're pretty girl. That's never been done before in comics, so I thought that would be a neat idea. The exotic was kind of a continuation of what the Planet Comics was. Geez, if we got to do a Jungle Girl comic back in the 50s, what would it look like? So,
nice finished piece there with the prelim.
When I was starting my Mad Mummy series, it was originally it was kind of a little different take on the story, and so I was doing these. It was like the teenage girl, and she had what we call an infinity box. So in other words, when you open it up, you never knew what was going to come out of it because.
Bill, can you take the? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sorry. When I'm looking at, I've got too many windows open. I can't see everything. Thank you for that, James G.
All right, what else do we have in this lot, Bill?
We have
called the Cat Crow. That was kind of the idea. This was something I did for my friend Ian, who God, I forget the name of that comic is. I probably have it here someplace. So,
what are the sizes on? Like the piece on the left, Chuck?
These are all 11 by 17. So let me see if I can dig them out here.
And again, this was one I think I did 2 cover versions of, and This was the one that wasn't used.
Yeah, so these are the 11 by 17 here. And the prelims are the same size, so two different layouts for the same one, but and then there's an outcast page in here with a color guide, which is a little bit different.
Well, the color guides were actually, they were the original pages that was printed from when they did the Marvel comic.
Right.
I wasn't happy with that whole process, so when I did my own version, of the book, and I recolored everything digitally, so it would look, a lot stronger.
So a lot of art for $550. If you think about all the individual pieces, if you like one or two, this is a good lot to pick up. Trade with a friend if down at OAX. Maybe put it on the next CAF Live. If you don't necessarily need all the pieces, but I think there's some great miscellaneous things in here, especially if you like Mike's sexy ladies or his cats. A lot of variety of cats here too.
Exactly. I've got a few of Mike's cat paintings as well.
Do you like them?
Yeah. No, hey, they're right behind the bar. We get to see them every day.
Oh, good.
So, Mike, you talk about Tales from the Crypt. This is not exactly that, but you had an opportunity to work for the more recent Creepy magazine.
Yeah.
And this is another lot of a whole bunch of stuff here. So,
right.
There's some prelims. There's some pages here.
Yeah.
All for $450. So if you like,
I don't know, for any of you folks in the Los Angeles area, if you ever go to the House of Secrets in Burbank, Paul Grimshaw was my model for this character. So I remember going in and taking a bunch of photos of him and using them for him. I also remembered, I think I was where, who was it? IDW or no, who was it? Dark Horse. I remember them calling me and asking me about this, and they said, and we're paying a really great rate. We're paying $300 for a page. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm going like, oh, great. I only got to do 2 to 3 pages a day then. Because it's the difference is between comic book rates and like commercial and advertising rates are so different.
Mm-hmm. So how many pages in total between prelims and published?
Yeah, a lot. I don't know. It was hard to count. I kind of lost track myself. But
all right.
2 hands and, you can go.
Depends on what you call a prelim. It was hard because some of the things are sort of prelims for inserts and
right, like smaller pieces here.
Yeah, sure. So you had like 2 technically heads there. They're on 2 different pieces of paper, but they're small. So just a whole bunch of sketches there. So definitely you get your $450 worth there.
Yes, you do. Now we've got 3 more lots to look at.
Yeah, we're getting to the end. And this is kind of a miscellaneous movie lot. For those who are fans of Mike, did a lot of work in the movie industry.
Backlot.
The ones on the left are the Smurfs. They're sort of the Smurfs movie, which I know when Mike was working on that, I was kind of laughing that they were making a live action Smurfs movie, but it looks kind of cool there.
It paid the rent.
What?
I said it paid the rent.
Paid the rent. It was good, and you did nice layouts for it. You got the old, was it the comic book rack there? For people who like sort of the old thing. He's falling asleep. The Smurfs are coming to life. There they are. Taking over the floor.
Going on there.
And so we got Ian Saint, I believe, was first on this one, and then you got some Harry Potter here. This was licensing art, correct, Mike?
Yeah. They were. It was really a funny job because the art director told me, he said, look, we pay you, like $150 for each character that are drawn in the preliminary. He said, so make sure you're drawing lots of characters in the background because you're still going to get $150 for each one. So 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 it was great. So I mean, like you do the main character, then you put in 3 or 4 other characters in the background to make it worth your while.
Oh, that's an interesting way of getting paid. Can you imagine if George Perez got paid by the number of characters he put in a page?
Oh, G.I. Joe. Hey, come on.
And Ian Saint did get in just ahead of Dave Kopecki there in the studio.
And Mike, do you want to give a little bit of since Ian bought this? This is from Chronicles of Narnia, I believe the first movie. Do you want to give a little bit?
This was an aerial shot of some city with like thousands and thousands of people marching into it or whatever. It's one of those fun things where like you didn't have much to do, so they would come in going, "Can you do an idea of this?" And so you get to do a drawing like this, and you'd spend all day long on it, just kind of doodling around.
But big production movie. You got to spend a lot of time over in New Zealand when you were working on this, correct?
The Narnia movies were one of the highlights. Tales from the Crypt, Narnia, and Spawn were like 3 of my favorite projects. Spawn more from the people I worked with. I really liked that crew. And the Narnia movies, they just came, like I said, and when you're working as an artist, you wind up with a roller coaster of, like your career is up and then it's down and it's up and it's down. And things were really at a low point for me. And all of a sudden I ran into my friend, Trevor Goring, who said, "Hey, we're doing this film. You ought to come by and drop a portfolio off," which I did, thinking, that'll be the end of that. I got a call like 3 months later. And Andrew Adamson, the director, hired me that day. And on and off, I worked for the next 5 years with the best rate and the best job that I had. They sent us to, New Zealand. I wound up going to Prague. That was, it was like that was a really great job.
And now Ian has a memory or a piece of that job there.
Okay, we got 2 more to look at. Yeah. And it sounds like a dream job, though, Mike. I mean, that would have been, for some, I'm sure that the Smurfs job wasn't as, as interesting, for instance, just in the travel and stuff. But being able to go on location and things, that'd be great.
One of the nice things about the Narnia job, too, was the screenwriters wound up writing all of the Marvel movies. So they did, the Winter Soldier, Captain America. They did the Guardians of the Galaxies and things like that. So it was funny because I was seeing like, okay, all of my friends I knew from comics, they were suddenly friends with the new screenwriters. So, it was like.
All right. Now, this is a very big lot, I think.
For $200, it's a lot of stuff.
What was is it from a particular set of drawings for something, or?
Yes, this is all Bionic 6, I think, isn't it?
Maybe, I'm not sure if it's 100% of them are, but I would say majority of them.
They're all basically animation. I think there was another animation series we were working on that was real similar, but I was doing character designs. So you would do 3 or 4 of these, turnarounds, and that was my job. I'd have to do 3 or 4 pencils like this. It was backbreaking work. It was like coming out of comics where you really were, working hard, and then animation. It was like, draw me 4 characters in the morning. It was a much easier job.
So we've got 16 of these character turnarounds, $200, and
less than $15 a piece.
Right, exactly. And I think we have even more pieces in this next one, the last one we're going to show. Right, let's see. But no way, I guess we had some details here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can see some of them have. Yeah, some of them got covered up there, so you can see that there's.
That's right. I apologize. Yeah, it's not just single characters on a lot of these. You're getting multiple characters.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, the other character designer that I worked with on this was Alex Toth. And Alex would usually, he would bring in like like character designs and hand them to the art director Bob Dranko. And every so often Bob Dranko would hand them over to me and go, "Here, fix this." And my initial reaction was like, "It's Alex Toth. How am I going to fix it?" And my second reaction was like, "If Alex finds out I'm fixing his drawings, I'm dead." So
you made sure nobody talked about it in the office, right?
well, I think Bob Dranko was Alex's. I'm not sure if he was his brother-in-law. There was some. They're related in some way. So they got along well enough. If you could.
Well, that's all right. Now, last lot. This is the one that has the most in it, and let me get there we go. It's changed. So what do we got here? This is from Starfire 7 Black.
Yeah, there's a bunch of sort of cover and pinup prelims. I think the most notable there is the one on the right with the woman with the sword. I believe is from Starfire 7. That's the cover for that, right, Mike?
Yeah.
And then you've got the Blackhawk special in the middle there, which is sort of smaller cover prelims. And then maybe Mike, you could talk about some of these other pinups. And
most of them were just kind of like rough drawings I was doing. Like somebody wanted me to do a cover for a book, so I think that's probably what that was. And I mean they're all just little jobs that came along. And I mean for anything I did, I always did preliminary pencils, traced them off, and took them from there. So that's kind of what you're looking at on this stuff.
I believe the top two are She-Hulk, maybe. Or at least one of them.
They were She-Hulk, but they were She-Hulk commissions.
Yeah.
Where I was drawing She-Hulk for somebody, and
I believe that's G.I. Joe there, is it not?
I got a lot of G.I. Joe commissions, so that's probably what they were.
Yeah, so Wonder Woman. So again, and these are all large size prelims. These are 11 by 17 size prelims, I believe.
I don't know if you remember a character from the '60s TV called Honey West. So I was doing a Honey West. Somebody wanted a drawing of that. This was actually a very interesting. I had a German friend who passed away in the past year or so. Hired me in the I'm not sure it was, maybe in the early part of this century, to do an advertising book for a computer company, and there were all these superheroes who were going to help them with solve their problems. This was for a Blackhawk comic I did. I think who was it wrote this? As is often the case these days with me, the name escapes me. But it was basically the whole Kennedy assassination and Blackhawk. They're moving in for it. Another fun book to do.
Lots of bricks on that one too. And Rich Donnelly picked this one up ahead of Anthony Snyder. See, if you debate, you lose, Anthony. But you have picked up several lots tonight, Anthony. So you can't feel like you lost out on that one. Thank you, Rich. That's your second tonight, right? Yeah, perfect.
Anthony, unfortunately, I don't have any other drawings in my house anymore now. So
Chuck removed them all.
Oh, if only.
Don't worry, I will come back. No. Yeah, why don't we go through? It looks like we have a claim for number 5, which is the I believe the Boris Karloff and the Grimm's Fairy Tales lot.
Yep. Sorry, I have to.
No, it's okay.
The size of this thing down there. We go. I knew there was a faster way to get through it. Just press the left arrow. So
1 minute here, and I'll be right back.
All right, Brian E. picked up lot 5. Very good. That was the Grimm's Ghost Tales, 5 pages. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll go through all these, and then what I would say is if you see anything that hasn't sold, you can shoot me an email as well. Bill at comiccardfans.com is the way to reach out to me. we will let you know if the piece is still available. When do you leave? You leaving soon, though, aren't you, Chuck?
I'm leaving on Monday, so hopefully I can
All
get
right,
you
so
everything on.
So I'd say this package will be in the mail to me by Saturday at the latest. So anybody watching the show afterwards, you only got a day or two to let us know about the unclaimed plots that we're going to show you right now. But please, if there's something you're interested in, shoot us an email and we'll let you know if it's still available and we can get it over to us before Chuck.
Bill, people are wondering if they can pay via PayPal to you. What payments do you accept?
We can take PayPal. I mean, we always prefer Zelle or Venmo just to have no fees on stuff, but sure, we can absolutely take PayPal. So when you email me after the show, let me know what your preference is on paying, but you know what mine is. But I'm happy to send PayPal invoices as well. It just, there's a PayPal fee involved and all that, so we get a little less, but we'd rather, so Zelle and Venmo are preferred options around here. So I'll even take a personal check if somebody would prefer to do that. All right, let's take a look at the lots remaining. It's going to be, I won't be able to watch the chat while I'm doing this, Chuck. Just so
yeah, I will yell it out if I see any. Anthony's asking, can we get it signed? I will not see Mike before, but if you catch Mike at another show, he will be happy to come to LA and he's at a show, or you want to stop by his house.
In the LA area, just come by the studio and it'd be nice to have you come by and look at stuff.
All right, so we had lot number 1. That was the Star Reach 4 and number 10 pages. So 2 pages for $800. We also had, let's see, what was it? 4 pages from Star Reach. And this was from issue 5. And that one those were priced at $1,600 for the 4. Reminder on those as well.
For those that are friends of Morocco. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we had lot 3. All right, let's get over here. There we go.
Parent of Peyote St. John and the Skywalker story that inspired Star Wars. I like to think.
We believe.
There could be a lawsuit against George Lucas very soon. I don't know.
He's got money to tackle that. Then we had lot 4. This was Imagine issues.
Imagine also a Star Reach, Star Reach spinoff, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. And lot 5 went to Brian, so we can skip that one, and we can get over to lot 6. That was the ISIS cover, and ISIS on the cover here is a overlay with a printed image of ISIS on there, not anything original on there. Background's original, and the overlay is all original too. And then you get the page with the guy that looks like Boris Karloff. At least has his face, that's for sure.
And the original pencils on the back of that page too. Yes,
that's right.
I think you need to show the price on this. You're still showing lot 4.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sometimes it's too hard for me to switch two things at once. All right, so there you go. And I'm
that's
trying.
Lot 5. That's lot. There you go.
Yep. I need a co-pilot in the studio tonight and make my life easier. All right.
So, some chip spill. It might give you some energy so you could get through this stuff.
Oh man. So this is 6. So we got 7. I'm going to just switch that first before I switch the image, and then I can't screw it up. So we got 5 pages from Starfire here.
That's right. Some Starfire pages.
Yeah, priced at $1,500.
With another sketch on the back, I believe, of the last page there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then let me switch over to lot 8. Yep, that one's still available. Some Justice League Quarterly.
Rocket Red and Crimson Fox.
I see Robert Redford again, and I can't unsee him every time I see that page.
Makes you want some salad dressing.
Let's see. Anthony got lot 9, so lot 10, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu.
I'm surprised these didn't go, the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu.
Yeah, let me get over there.
Don't miss out on this early Marvel art.
Oh, I went past it. I went too
past it. Yeah, it's the gray wash pages.
That's the one. I'm sorry.
Washes.
Yep, 2 pages for $1,000. No.
Each one of them is worth $1,000 there.
All right, and so let's see. Lot 11 was picked up by Jimmy, so we go over to lot 12 next. There we go, the Metro pages.
From 6 from Series 2.
Mm-hmm. $400 for 9 pages. I got 13, 14, 15 were all picked up, so lot 16 is our next one. That's going to be that. I remember that one. Oh, that's it. There we go. That's image on the left, and then the one on the right is a photocopy. And just so you can see the set, that was it there. You get the Wolverine image here against the Ninja and Iron Man.
Yeah, I think somebody wanted to see the Iron Man one here, so this is the Iron Man cover here. Hopefully will be published soon. Marvel has still not, as far as we know, has not published a bit, although it could have been published digitally, and I don't know about it.
Yeah, Rich Donnelly, unfortunately, business accounts can't take PayPal friends and family. So it's not even an option when you send us money. But that's just kind of how it works. But yeah, so. Okay.
Jason claimed 16.
Jason, you're the man. Thank you, Jason. All right, so let's see. Everything was claimed. So next up is going to be lot 25. So let me switch to that graphic there. Let me hide Jason's claim and get all the way over to 25 here.
All the Valiant is gone, unfortunately. But we do have a First Comics American flag, one of Mike's favorite things in his last American flag pages. So,
you know, I'm almost happy when I don't see these things go. Like, oh, good, I get to keep them.
So you get 2 published
stuff. It's like, please take it out the door, you know.
But not the flag pages.
That was a fun series to work on. You know, it was just.
So the Iron Man was published by Veve.
What's that?
The Iron Man was published.
Yeah, Vivi. Okay, well, Jason, he's a researcher. So there you go. Congrats, Jason. Good pickup.
Yeah.
And Vivi's a digital comics delivery platform. So good pickup. So we have this American flag then, the 2 pages and a prelim for $5.50. Then let's see, it's lot 27 is the next one. Get rid of that. Oh, I went right by it. Darn it. There we go.
Yeah. For Nexus fans, this was a spin-off for Mez the Galactic Tour. For those that are music fans, can't get more galactic music than this.
No, not for $150.
No.
Let's see. Anthony got 28 and 29. So let's go over to lot 30 here. That was the Frankenstein artwork. There we go.
Lots of art.
Yeah, 17 prelims, plenty of published pieces as well.
Yes. Frankenstein through the ages, that alone right there. You can frame up those 5 different images.
Eldon got lot 31, as we all remember. And so we got lot 32 next. There was a lot of good girl art.
I'm surprised this one didn't go too.
I'm not sure how good the girls were, but it was nicely drawn.
Well rendered is what we say around here.
Okay.
They were well rendered. Yeah, look at that. I threw that image on the intro video. I liked it. I mean, that was cool. And you get the cat too.
And you get a lot of cats in this one. Black cats, calico cats.
Crow in there. Oh, this is a great image too. And these are 11 by 17.
Yes, all 11 by 17.
And this was with the 2 from Offcast.
Those pinups in that last one published, I think, is the question here. I think Mike's reaching for the stars.
I think he's looking for a bag of chips. What are you doing there, Mike?
I'm actually looking to see if I've got some of the comics that was the cover for that one.
Oh, well, so they were published.
We had a question about the 2, like
Eldon claimed 32.
Oh, Eldon. Congrats. Thank you.
Yeah, and Mike might show you where that was published. Or we can see under Mike's armpits.
Oh, this was the book, the Tales and Frankenstein stuff.
Oh. The book that came out when the shops all closed.
Yes. So it's like, I think what I was doing was between each story, there'd be like a little introduction, and that's where those pages wound up.
Yeah. Very nice.
Well, and thank you, Eldon, for picking up your second lot here. That is appreciated. Then we've got some creepy artwork, I think, coming up here next from lot 33. Get my slide on there. There we go. Get some prelims, published pages.
A whole lot of creepy. A We didn't have any Tales from the Crypt still left over, but there was this Creepy, which has a little bit of the same look and feel as the good old Tales from the Crypt and the old EC stuff.
All right, 34 was picked up by Ian. That was those movie prelim pieces or character study pieces. So we'll go over a lot.
I think he really wanted the Smurfs.
Well, he's got some young kids. I bet you all of these are right up their alley. So what do we got? 35 is our last one, the character turnarounds.
Yeah.
16 of these.
16, less than, it was like $12 a page or something like that.
Was that the last one? Yeah, that was the last one.
Yep.
So there you go. That's what we got.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Yes. Thanks for the interest in my work. I'm always flattered. I look at this stuff thinking, God, I did it 40 years ago and people are still looking at it. I always find that kind of amazing.
Well, there's a lot of nostalgia in all this. Even just in the era of comics from that period, there's just something about it. When Chaykin's doing American Flag, and I mean the Turtles are coming out at that time. I was in my early teens, and that's a formative time for me. You see, when just seeing artwork from that period reminds you of how fun it was to go to the comic shop as a kid and picking up books that weren't part of the big two, and because that was just so unheard of, right? And yeah, it was a lot of fun. You picked them up because you wanted to read something different, and you got that in a lot of these stories.
Did I tell you my Ninja Turtle story?
I don't believe so, but I'd like to hear it.
I was at a convention in Indiana. This had to probably be in the late 70s, whatever. And I'm there, and this kid rushes up to me, and he gives me this mimeograph comic and goes, here's my comic. Let me know what you think. And I'm looking at it. My initial reaction is like, God, don't quit your day job. I'm sure I was like, well, it's nice. I'll take a look at it. And I'm sure I got home and tossed it someplace. That was Ninja Turtles. That was Kevin Eastman. So it was like, yeah.
Mike, I think we got to find that copy of Turtles 1 floating around your office.
Yeah, there's probably some money there as long as it didn't the cats didn't tear it up.
Yeah.
Anthony wanted one last look at the Frankenstein pages, so I'll just kind of pull them up here one more time so you can see them. Anthony, that was what lot number was Frankenstein? That was 30. So I'm gonna get the lot 30 thing there. So here's what you got. You got 17 prelims and several published pages to go along with it. And you just saw Mike hold up the book that everything was published in as well.
Yes. I'll send you the book too, Anthony, if you want it.
That's a deal. Can't beat that with a stick.
Frankenstein did not like what he saw in that mirror, did he? No. And then
we all have that problem.
Exactly. All right. Well, there you go, Anthony. We showed him off for you one last time. So well, Mike, always fun getting to hang out with you. We should not do this every 2 years. We got to find a way to do them a little more frequently. Even if we can do another. I mean, you got so much we could talk about from your career. We could do just an interview and hang out for a little bit and chat. And I would enjoy that.
Well, I'm getting to that age where if you wait 2 years, it might be too long. So,
All right. Well, okay. No, I'm making a note of that. No, we should, man. This is. I mean, do you get out to shows too? I mean, anymore? I mean, what's your frequency for stuff like that?
I did a couple shows this year, and I find conventions have changed so drastically from when I used to go to them that I feel kind of like like I went to one show in LA, and I'm walking around, I'm going like, wait a minute, I think I'm the oldest person in this building, it was kind of neat because I had a friend who put together this little interview with me. It was like a 50 or 60-minute film, whatever it was, and they showed it, and the film was it was like really amazing. I was really, it was Jason Stein. It was a Tales from the Crypt type of thing, and I was really impressed. And then I looked around, and I realized, great. There's 3 other people in the in the auditorium with me, and 2 of them were friends. So you are so good. What's your problem?
Anthony, to answer your question, the large size page is actually a little bit wider than 11 by 17, and then the prelims are on 8.5 by 11 for the Tales from Frankenstein, so you can kind of see those sort of next to each other. So, hope that answers your question.
That's right. So again, we appreciate everybody picking artwork up this evening. We need you to email me, bill@comicartfans.com. Let me know which lots you got. I've got it all written down here anyway, but just put it in the email too, so we know we're on the same page with the lots you picked up, and I'll work out payment with you. And as we mentioned earlier, I'm happy to deliver anything to OAX if you like. And Chuck is willing to have you meet him at Prop Store if you live in the SoCal area. He would be happy to hand deliver some pieces to you as well. So, but don't wait till tomorrow to email me. I like getting the emails tonight. I'm not as good as Anthony getting invoices out before I go to bed. I will tell you that. But I just like to have everybody contact me. It just keeps. I sleep better when I know everybody's gotten back to me.
And Bill, I believe Anthony just claimed the Frankenstein pages. So he said, "Oh, Bill."
My goodness. See, Anthony, he never. Did he once say claim in a lot number? I just had, for the man who has been
that's an Anthony move,
160 times, the format is always claim in a lot number. Anthony has never once, and Anthony's claimed a lot of artwork on this show or on shows that we've hosted. He has never said claim in the lot number, and everyone in the chat will attest to that. But Anthony, we appreciate it. You got 3 in a row there, lot 28, 29. Yes, we do. Can I get an 8? Yeah, you're right. I might go to bed on you, Anthony, and send you a PayPal invoice in the morning. But Chuck, Mike, as always, lots of fun. And we definitely got to do this again sometime. Chuck, safe travels. I know you.
Thank you. And if I could put a plug in, since you talked about Prop Store, we've got the Batman 85th anniversary live auction that just launched. We've got a number of different items directly from Warner Brothers Archives and Preservation Services, from the large Batman vehicles, all the way from Batman 1989 all the way through the 2023 Flash. And with the catalog, we actually have this lovely print. We were actually selling the comic book size catalogs, but this lovely print from the Warner Brothers Archives that is of the Batmobile. So you can order a catalog. Just came out yesterday for $20. Go to propstore.com. You can see the catalog. And hopefully we'll see you there. And if anybody's in LA and wants to come out to the auction on the Warner Brothers lot December 6th, drop me a line and I can see if I can hook you up.
There you go. And we thank everyone hanging out with us this evening. It's always fun. And we will be looking forward to getting your emails, and we'll get the art turned around as quickly as possible. Like we talked about, Chuck's going to have it in the mail to me by Saturday at the latest. And that means I'll have it early in the week. I'll be able to turn things around by next Friday or Saturday. You should have them in your hands. So thank you both. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Bill, it's a pleasure. Chuck, thank you so much.
My pleasure.